Stigmas. This kind of concept in society where people believe things that tend to not be very true, but people still believe because there's theories wrapped around them. They believe what they see, but not what's been proved by evidence. They believe what they hear by some random stranger, but not what they've heard from a professional. Normally how stigmas start. The most common way stigmas start is through social media. It's the bounds of all places to find false information. And stigmas come with mental health. You get stigmas around mental health on a daily basis. As someone who suffers with it, I get very annoyed at people who think they know how I feel or what I go through. Or I see other people saying to someone that they understand how they feel. And in my head, I think to myself, you really don't. You could be the best professional in the world, have studied everything about mental health, understand all the concepts, all the theories, all the scientific evidence, worked in a mental health hospital, but you will never truly understand how it feels to suffer from something, or unless you have been there yourself. And probably one of the biggest stigmas that really pisses me off is if I don't see a mental health directly within you, if it's not visible, then you don't have it at all. I had this stigma thrown my way quite a lot during my first few couple of weeks of realising that I had anxiety. When I first come down with anxiety, I was told by someone, and then, they told me to go to a doctor, and I didn't because I was a terrified little kid. And I still am, really. And during that time, I went to tell my friends. I tried to tell as many people as possible because I was encouraged to tell people and be open about it, because keeping these things secret is not good for you at all. So I told people. And one of the first things that one of my friends, who I'm no longer friends with, said to me was, "You don't look like you suffer from it, so how the heck can you suffer from it?" Now, back then, I kind of took it on my shoulder and was like, yeah, whatever. But now I look back to it, that's really offensive and really annoying. I'm so glad you're not in my life anymore. It's increasingly concerning how much of this happens. People believe these concepts that just because someone doesn't act completely and utterly insane, they don't start punching walls, they're not going around killing people, they're not hiding in their room all day crying, that they don't have mental health problems. And that is so messed up. And the problem is with that, is it's so false to the point where it's actually hard to adjust my mind to even slightly understand how they think that. Because the actual true fact is that most people who suffer from a mental health condition do not show it. They hide it away. So the concept that just because I don't see it, it doesn't exist, means you probably don't know many people with mental health issues. Because there wouldn't be many, because most of them hide their things away. And if you're going off the basis that if you don't see it, then it's not there, then literally no one in your life suffers from mental health. Which is even more concerning, because that means you're treating everyone the exact same, and probably means you're pissing all your friends off with mental health conditions, because you're probably just making it even worse for them. So today, I wanted to go over some horrific stigmas related around mental health, go over them, show my annoyance for them, and at the end of it all, correct them and get the right thought processes in all your heads, because having these ideas about mental health that is not true is not going to help you have a social life, and is generally not good for your reputation. So, let's jump into this video and fix some stigmas. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Focus Future channel. I hope you guys are all having an amazing day. I hope you're all striving to achieve. I hope we're all well and coping through the crazy world that we all live in at the moment. Today I wanted to cover the topic of stigmas around mental health specifically, correct them and try and sort this issue out in society, which is people believing information that quite frankly is not very true, and all that good stuff. So if you're interested in all of that, please stay tuned. If not, please use the top link in the description to go and learn a bit more about me. If you're new here, please make sure you're subscribing for regular mental health advice. And yeah, let's jump into this video and learn about stigmas. Apparently, I'm struggling to speak English today. So, stigmas. Let's get a bit of basic understanding of what they are before I start correcting them, because some people watching are not going to really have a clue. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is pull up Google, type stigmas in and see what comes up, because Google's never wrong. Right, kids? Don't believe that, because Google's not always correct. Everyone will believe me if I type into Google. So this is where things get a bit complex, and this is where the arguments are going to kick in. Because the definition I gave in the intro of a stigma is very simplified compared to the definition that you will get off of Google, which I am putting on your screens right now. Now, this is the very complex version of stigmas. It's the idea that a group of people or someone is being discriminated based off of social opinion or social interaction. And them words, for most of the people watching this video, are too complicated, and I probably need to simple them down. So again, a simple version of this is there's a very clear misunderstanding on something that creates someone to be discriminated or to feel left out. Very simple version. You don't need to look at this complicated wording of Google because, yeah, it makes no sense. So, I've cleared that up. I've cleared Google's very sugar definition of social stigmas. And now we can actually crack on with the real stuff. Now, the biggest reason I think this topic needs to be covered is because of the severe consequences and the effects it has on individuals who actually suffer from a mental health condition. The people who are going through this stuff on a daily basis. And the fact that if there's a load of stigmas going around, basically a load of false information, it's not very easy for these people who do actually suffer from it to feel included in society, to feel supported, and to feel like people understand them. Which then results in their mental health getting even worse. Because a lot of the time, one of the biggest things you need from others when you are going through the pits of a mental health condition is very basic underlining understanding of what you're going through, which 99% of people on this planet do not have. And it's very difficult for these people who do suffer from it to talk to others because they're like, well, he just believes a load of rubbish that he's seen on the internet. And then, again, it's going to ruin their social life. And that is why so many people with actual mental health conditions hide away. Because they don't know how to talk about these things without it ending up being this massive argument between you and someone else. I have had people in the past literally tell me that I don't suffer from a mental health condition or I'm making it up because they had read some stuff on the internet. One person even told me it, and then I found out the information that she had got from an Instagram post. Can I just give that woman a massive round of applause? Please. So, let's go through some of these stigmas so I don't ever come across, and you don't ever come across, that situation ever again, because it's horrible. Now, the first one that I want to immediately wrap up, get out of the way, kick out the bin, is that people with mental health conditions are dangerous. And I think I even read somewhere that they should not be approached. That's a good way of putting it. Now, first off, the idea that everyone with a mental health condition is dangerous is just completely false. I understand why people can get this theory because they've watched way too many movies, and in the movies they show people with mental health conditions who are locked away in these absolutely disgraceful places, wrapped up in these massive things and look like they're about to kill everyone. I can tell you now, most of the people who suffer from mental health conditions are not even close to that. So let's wipe that out completely. In fact, most people who suffer from mental health conditions are caring, very nice, and will probably have a great time with. You've just got to be a decent human being to be able to interact with them. So that's that stigma out of the way. People with mental health conditions are unreliable, are unaware, and stupid. They have no idea what's going on with themselves and no idea how to treat others. Again, this is absolute rubbish. Some people with mental health conditions, for example, people with autism, have actually been scientifically proven to have higher intelligence levels than the average population. Just because they act a bit differently to the rest of us does not mean that they can't figure out a maths equation, they can't make a good group of friends, or they can't start a business. All it means is they act a bit differently from the rest of us. And there is no scientific evidence that says that children, for example, with autism are unable to do all of them things. It might be a bit more difficult for them to do it, they might require a lot more support, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. So, no person with mental health conditions is stupid or, unreliable. They might need a lot more support to get to where some of us are, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And the part of that where it says about they're unaware of their own actions, in fact, for example, with myself, I suffer from anxiety, which means I'm over aware of my own actions. So the chances are, if you're talking to someone with mental health condition, they are very aware of what they are doing, and the chances are they want it to stop as much as you do. The next one. Dating people with mental health is a big risk and a massive challenge. Completely wrong in most situations. Now, the part of this where it says it's a challenge, it can be. I'm not going to lie to you, it does make your relationship a tiny bit more difficult than it would be if none of you suffered from mental health conditions. But the fact that it's a big risk, it is like saying, oh, well, I'm going to cross the road now, that's a big risk, so I shouldn't do it. Yes, you have to be aware of the context. You have to understand how that person's mental health is going to affect your relationship. But that doesn't necessarily mean if you love and like the person and want to be with them, you should turn them down just because they've got a mental health condition. The only time I would ever advise doing this is if you generally are aware that you are not going to be able to cope with that person's mental health condition. In that case, you're doing it for yours and their safety. But don't discriminate that person just because they've got a mental health condition. Sometimes dating someone with a mental health condition can be actually fulfilling, especially if you've been through rough times yourself. They will probably be some of the most understanding people you will ever meet. Next one. All people with mental health are completely insane. They kick walls, they shout and scream everywhere, and they're generally an absolute pain up the backside to hang out with. Again, load of rubbish. Most of my natural friend group have got some form of mental health related problem. None of them are insane. They're all a great time to hang out with, and every single one of them I can have a decent conversation with at any time of the week. And the last one I wanted to clear up is people with mental health can't maintain a job. If that was the case, half of the UK population would currently be unemployed. Because at least half of us have probably got mental health issues. Some of them have not been identified yet because there's so many of us that just hide our issues away that we would never be able to identify them all. But again, if that was the case, we would not have many people in work. Complete false. I have a mental health condition. Look what I'm able to do. So, they're the key ones. But again, there are hundreds and hundreds more that probably I haven't even got around to even starting to discuss. But let me go through quickly how to avoid this. Now, first off, the only way you're ever going to really understand mental health and ever really be able to see it from their perspective, is either having someone who suffers from mental health talk to you about it, explain it to you, go through it with you, which will give you a very bit of an insight. If you live with someone with mental health, you've probably got a bit more of an understanding of what it's like. But the biggest way you can understand it is physically suffering from it. I can tell you now that all the internet posts, all the things you've seen online, are probably the absolute base brim of what mental health is actually like to suffer with and how difficult it actually is to overcome. So, to avoid getting stigmas in your head, to avoid collecting false information and passing that along to the society around you, please make sure you are getting this information from a reliable source. Don't type a question into Google and then click on the top website and hope that website contains the correct information. You've probably got about a 60% chance of that information being an utter rubbish. Reading blog posts. A lot of people find information about mental health through blog posts. I'm not saying that this is a bad way of getting that information, because some people who write blog posts have generally been through this and have a bit more understanding. But please do your research. Don't just click on a blog post and immediately believe it. Look into who wrote the blog post. Do they suffer from mental health conditions? Where did they get their information from? Do a bit more digging than just, right, yeah, sure, that's right. The NHS. If you want to know about a specific mental health condition and how to support a person with that specific mental health condition, the NHS in the UK is a great way of doing that. Look to your local health service rather than some fella who lives down the road who hasn't had mental health once in his life. And that's and the other one, and this is probably the key one, is don't rely on Instagram posts. This is the biggest way of being given false information. Now, I'm not going to tell you that all information that's posted on social media is a load of rubbish, because in that case you would click off this video and never watch it. But what I am saying is you should be careful. Specifically with quotes and motivational things on social media, some of these quotes and motivations have come from people who haven't been through a damn thing in their life and are kind of just writing it for attention. So again, we go back to the basics. When you look at these things, if you actually want to know if it's correct, dig into their account, look at what they're about. Do they post about this regularly? Do they have a reputation? Are a lot of these people who are following them an adult and actually have general understanding? Before you're like, yes, this is great. And more importantly, the best way to find out any information about this is talking to people who suffer from it. You'll be able to find someone in your life who suffers from it. It's pretty common. I think there was a recent study done where like 1 in 4 adults suffer from mental health in some way, shape or form. It could be minimum, it could be absolutely high level mental health, but in some form. So probably won't take you long to find someone who does. So yeah, that kind of wraps up this video. I just wanted to go over this. I think it's key to people to understand how to get correct information about mental health, some of the stigmas that do exist. I mean, I've only gone through a fair few of them today. There are hundreds and hundreds more. But yeah, I've gone over the ones that I think are the most important ones to be covered. The ones that, if you actually think are true, are probably going to damage your social life. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this video has helped. If it has, please leave a comment down below on how this video has helped you. If you've got any suggestions for content I could create or video ideas that you want me to cover, please let me know. And I'll catch all you dudes next time. Bye-bye.